Becoming independent is a gradual process. From grocery shopping to paying bills, the skills we need in adulthood are learned over time.
In theory, you should know where it is, and you kind of look around.
Parents who are fostering or adopting play a key role in preparing young adults for this transition to adulthood. In the following segments, you'll hear from professionals who not only have experience working in child welfare, but have lived experience either in the foster care system or in an adoptive family. You'll also meet Connie and John Smith, who will share how they prepared children living in their home, both through foster care and adoption, for adulthood.
A parent's job is to advocate, to coach, to inform, to empower, and to build self-esteem. So I believe that it is extremely important for a person that is looking to foster and or adopt to teach their youth independent living skills. It's their job.
If you're a young person who is maybe in foster care, you absolutely need someone focused on giving you those skills.
These life skills should be taught throughout childhood so that there is a gradual learning that will take place and continue to happen as the child enters adulthood.
When you haven't learned how to cook or make meals, that can feel like you're not grounded and you can't take care of yourself.
Some of the things that we can prepare them for here, the simple things like, can you make a meal for yourself? Can you go to the grocery store?
Why do you need to buy the name brand peanut butter when this off-brand peanut butter for $1.50 a jar cheaper? Maybe you want to give it a shot because now you can go buy yourself a soda with that $1.50.
Include young people in the process of meal planning, shopping, and cooking to give them hands-on experience in how to prepare food for themselves and the process of budgeting for food.
So many young people who've maybe had more challenging family life circumstances don't always learn how to cook. And they don't know how to cook for themselves.
Cooking is so important because that's how you save money, is by making food at home that's healthier, that's available to you. But then also knowing about the various food groups. Like for me, protein is essential. So, when I was really broke, recognizing that a peanut butter sandwich is going to offer me a lot more than if I just go and get some bananas.
No matter what their age, the children in your care may need to learn basic self-care and hygiene skills.
If they come from a home where they were removed for neglect, chances are changing clothes every day was not happening. Showering every day was probably not taking place, even if they'd been outside playing all day.
I didn't understand just basic women hygiene things. And as I continued on in life, there was no one for me to really talk to or for me to feel comfortable with.
At 12, I was taught about self-care, and that foster mom would teach me everything what it was like to be about a young woman. It was the shortest placement, but had the biggest impact because she took us in and cared for us.
How to be proactive about their physical and dental health is another skill youth preparing for adulthood must learn.
Sometimes youth in care need the hand-holding. They need you to take them to appointments. They need you to explain the process because they are maybe insecure, maybe they don't know, or maybe they are afraid.
You can gradually transition young adults into managing their own health by walking them through each step.
So instead of the foster or adopted parent calling to make an appointment, have the youth in a room. Like, you need your physical is up every year. This is expected. I'm gonna make this first phone call for your physical.
Learning how to apply to college or trade school is another skill young people may need.
We really encouraged post-secondary education. And with the students in foster care, they have lots of help and money out there for them so that it becomes affordable for them to do that.
College-bound teens may need help filling out college applications and financial aid forms. Young adults who are entering the workforce may need guidance on where to look for employment or how to build a resume.
Don't just say, get a job. Help me, walk me through getting a job. What does it mean to be in an interview with people asking questions about you?
Build confidence for interviews by practicing answers for common interview questions at home. It's also important to talk to the child in your care about how to make wise financial decisions.
They don't realize that, cell phones cost money. Yeah, you can buy a car for $250, probably not gonna be much of a car, and you might end up putting more into it.
Once they have a job, they may need help budgeting for expenses and filing their taxes.
I'm looking at these taxes with you too, and you know you're making some pretty good coin right now, but you're sharing too much of it with Uncle Sam.
I would like to keep a little more of it for myself.
And so, probably one of the best ways is,
Having conversations about savings, investing, and debt can help young people avoid common financial mistakes.
They don't know how to manage that paycheck. You might be able to maybe manage it on paper, but when you actually have that money for the first real time, they just overdoing it, and sometimes they can dig themselves into a hole.
You can always refinance after a few years where you've tucked some away in savings or something like that, and then you can say, I want to refinance, and here I've got 10 to 12,000 I can put down.
Right.
So that might be
better interest rate.
Yeah,
and
so
everything.
it's just
Go back to when you were younger and figure out what things did I mess up, what could I have used, and try to apply that to what you're doing in support of a young person as they transition into adulthood.
Children who age out of foster care can face unique challenges as they transition to adulthood. Some of the same challenges are present for children who are adopted.
Young people who have been adopted or are being fostered already have these challenges that they're facing, whether it's abuse, neglect, trauma, histories of challenging family circumstances, could be some educational challenges along the way. There could be any number of challenges with mental health.
There's so many challenges that I've faced, whether it was in the interim of going to college and not having a place to stay when the dorms closed, or when you have to talk to the financial counselors at school about a permanent address, and they keep asking you to identify who's an adult that you can live with or that you have an address.
You name it, I was challenged by it, from not understanding my own racial identity in the broader world to trying to negotiate my first sexual experiences and what that was about. There were so many things that I needed that I didn't have from an adult. I learned a lot of things from my peers. And I'll tell you right now, parents and grown-ups, do not leave it up to young person's peers to help them figure it out.
Children with a history of trauma may have a hard time building relationships and creating a support network.
You're talking about social connections. You're talking about concrete support in times of need. These are protective factors.
When you're in the system, you're always kind of programmed, in a sense, to be only for yourself and just do everything you can just for yourself without asking for help or for support. So being open and honest, it was my first thing, asking for help.
You can't get that by just teaching somebody how to boil water. You're gonna learn that automatically. It takes much longer to have to learn how to trust and build relationships and connect.
My stay here, it was a lot of me doing things I probably shouldn't have done. And they brought me in here, they sat me down, and we talked about it.
Manny made many mistakes.
We tell them, if you don't make mistakes, you're not growing. You're not making progress. It's just that when you repeat and do that mistake again, then we got problems. So
they allowed me to fail too, because I'm sure they know that is the main learning grounds for your conscience to really understand what you're really trying to avoid.
A history of trauma can also affect a child's social and emotional development, making it difficult for them to make decisions on their own.
Parents that have older youth in care, they often say, he or she is 16 or 18, they should know, right? And I always tell them that depending on the age of the trauma, the frequency of the trauma, they may not be developed chronologically, right? So they're 17 years old, right? But because of their experience, because of their trauma, they're maybe operating at a 12 or 13-year-old level, right? So I say, don't meet the age, meet the individual.
What no one prepared me for at 18, meaning transitioning into adulthood at 21, was the social emotional part of it.
Transitioning into adulthood is extremely scary. If you had trauma, you may be operating in a fear-based system, meaning that you are afraid to make decisions. For example, going to get your ID is extremely important, right? So they go, you're 18 years old, fill out the application and just go to the DMV. Somebody that experienced trauma, someone that has been abused, neglected, may need someone to physically take them to DMV.
Children who have spent time in foster care often have little control over their own life decisions. And once they reach adulthood, making decisions can be overwhelming.
So I knew how to open up a bank account, but I didn't trust the ability to open up a bank account. I knew how to get on the bus, but I didn't trust the ability to do that because there was a journey, there was a healing journey that I needed to go through, and no one prepared you for that.
Just because a young person reaches the chronological age of adulthood doesn't mean they are prepared to be an adult. Transitioning to adulthood is a gradual process that continues for years. Young adults still need emotional support, advice, and a home base that they can go back to when they encounter struggles or setbacks.
Hey-o. There's no home for many of us if we age out of a child welfare system without lifelong connections. If we continue to see foster parents as a moment in time and we don't allow for that continued transition of support, we're just continuing the cycle of what it looks like to not have connections.
There's nothing magical about 18. That just happens to be the bar they put out there where it needs to be.
Oh, yeah. It's another day out there making that money.
We have to get to a point where we're working and teaching foster parents, adoptive parents, to be resources long term.
Having someone to call at 23 to talk about, hey, me and my fiance just broke up. Hey, I just paid off my 5-year car loan, right? Is extremely important.
They just need a place that they can store their stuff or somebody knows what they're at, or can my kids call you grandma and grandpa?
I think somebody had their finger up there when they took that picture, don't you? No, my guy would have been, wouldn't it?
I couldn't get an apartment because I didn't have any credit history to show that I had a valuable ability to asset to pay. And so I needed to find people that would be willing to write a letter on my behalf to say that, yeah, she has no credit history, but she's a trustworthy person.
Whether it's providing a reference for an apartment, offering advice about household maintenance, or setting a place at the table on Thanksgiving, young adults still need ongoing connections.
Someone that is going to be there for you when you're having a good day, when you're having a bad day, to support you throughout life is extremely important. So I think if they know that and they feel that and they feel confident, it's a little less scary.
It's the things that are beyond, teaching, but stuff that a parent would do.
Show the child in your care how to find resources and services that they may need as adults.
I work with a lot of young people who are in foster care now. There's this balance of having things available to them and services available to them, but sometimes the delivery is not youth-friendly.
Being able to have either someone to walk through it with you or point you towards DSHS, like the Department of Social Services, so that they can help navigate that. Whether it's the churches in the area to get food and shelter and clothing, or the food banks, or whether it's finding the social service departments in there, the counselors or the therapists, the social workers.
We've got juice on here, and looks like that one back there does too.
The relationship that you share with a child through foster care or adoption doesn't end when they reach adulthood.
I mean, imagine, would you tell your 18-year-old child, we're done, thank you for, we no longer have a relationship? So I would want a foster adoptive parent to find value in me, that I'm not just a placement. I am not just another kid that's staying in their home temporarily, and that you want to know what I'm going to do or what I'm going to be like 20 years from now.
You just don't know what little thing you're going to do is going to impact a child, and you don't know, the memory you're going to make.
Because of my parents, I'm able to be a better mother and a better wife. I was able to taught how to love myself, how to respect myself. I was able to get an understanding of how to be a mother without having a mother from my childhood.
And when I left, I felt it all. I felt the blessings I had while I was here, and the opportunity that came with it.
Every kid is just, one caring adult, away from success.